So
1, 2, 3.
let's do this.
I never do it. Every time I want to do it.
Yeah, but you do it right away when you get in.
He's gonna be on it.
I know,
He did this
I know.
without even coaching us. So
It's supposed to has to happen naturally. Anyway,
Oh, well.
anyway, whatever.
So
Next time.
the other day we had a Q&A question, right? Somebody posted on the Instagram. When would you do unilateral versus bilateral movements, or what's
So like
the
one arm versus two arms.
the
exactly.
benefit of-
Yeah,
yeah,
what's the
one leg,
benefit
one
of
leg.
doing single leg, single arm versus using both legs?
This
or
became
both-
kind of a craze for a while, and people, it's a camp of just doing single leg exercises versus, squats with backloaded squats.
And they both have their benefits.
That's the thing. They both have their benefits and they both have their detriments.
Yes.
And if you just do one, you're going to miss out on the benefits of the other.
There you go.
And that's the thing. And you got to consider everything you do in the real world involves either both arms and both legs or one arm and one leg. So you got to be able to work both, right?
Yeah.
You got to incorporate both of them.
Now, I think the key, or where I feel like we can help, is where do we implement that, either with our own programming or with a client? Where would I say, okay, I want him or her to do a unilateral movement?
Visible imbalances, right?
Yes.
Muscular imbalances.
So give an
or-
example of that. Like, let's use like shoulders or something, or where you would see that, and then how would you fix that or address that by doing a unilateral
Well, let's
movement?
say we're doing a shoulder press with a client and we're doing, let's say I'll grab a couple dumbbells here. Let's say they're doing a shoulder press and I notice that, one of the shoulders or one of the arms has trouble, straightening out. So it kind of does this thing, or one arm is shrugged. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them drop a dumbbell. So now I can have them focus on doing the press, getting that full extension, but keeping the shoulder packed at the same time. Because we're eliminating one of the arms out of the movement, now we can place more focus
You can
on the problem.
identify the
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one key factor, is really being able to assess where the hitch is in that movement. So once you kind of figure that out, then you can program it accordingly.
It's true, and also consider this. We'll use the shoulder press again. When I'm doing a one-arm shoulder press, like this side of my body's got to really stabilize a lot more because I'm offset with the weight, and that is going to give you a different stimulus. I also, now to be honest with you, there's certain unilateral exercises I simply prefer. Yeah. I almost don't do anything with dumbbells for my shoulders, both arms anymore. Almost all my shoulder presses now are one arm when I'm using dumbbells. If I use a barbell, of course, I'm using two arms.
Well,
so
and the
I just do it better.
benefit, so that there's definitely benefits to the unilateral side of it being, increasing your stabilization and identifying any sort of problem within that movement. However, on the other end, with the bilateral movement, now we can really see what kind of load that we can increase.
There you
and,
go.
How much weight we can.
Yeah, for pure strength gain, I mean,
strength, yeah.
yeah, bilateral's
Benefits from
got to
that.
be king, right?
Right, we're going to build more muscle that way. We're going to get better. We're going to strengthen our CNS more through those type of movements where you can use both together, where you can do a big barbell type movement. Also, when you guys didn't talk about, I know you guys always talk about neuromuscular imbalance or so. I'm the visual guy, right? So I actually will use unilateral movements to fix an aesthetic imbalance. So if I look at somebody, and this is very common, where someone's like, Adam, my right bicep is just bigger than my left. What is that, and how do I fix that? Well, this is how I would fix it, is I would address something like that, where anytime we do any bicep exercises, I'm gonna have them start with the weaker arm. So if it's my right arm that's bigger than my left, I'm gonna start my bicep curls with my left side, and where that fatigues, I'm gonna take the right one to that same level. Even though I could probably do 3-4 more exercises, or 4 more reps with the more dominant side, I'm trying to catch them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm always gonna stop wherever the weaker one fails first. So I'm gonna take that, we stop at 10 reps, I'm gonna mirror that, even though I could probably get 15 reps with the more dominant to try and balance that out. So that's another place that I would use that, where I could see that somebody has a visual imbalance where one muscle is developed more than the other, to try and fix that. So, but then going back to, the benefits of, building, you're not going to get more than what you can get bilaterally. I mean, if you got both feet on the ground, planted on the ground, or you got both hands grabbing a hold of a barbell.
And they feed into each other.
Yes.
So we get more stabilization. It's going to increase the amount of load that you can stabilize overhead. If you're doing a shoulder press, if you can press more weight, obviously you're going to be able to press more weight unilaterally.
And here's the thing, like, consider there's a synergistic effect when both legs and both arms work together. Let me explain. Most people, I don't think there's anybody that can one-legged squat as much as they can two-legged squat. Or what I mean to say is half as much as it doesn't add up that way. So if I can, chest press 500 pounds, I'm not going to be able to do 250 pounds with one arm. There is a synergistic effect from using both sides at the same time.
Well, yes, our body, body works together.
That's it. So it's not an even split. You know what I'm saying? If I can squat 300, I can't do 150 with one leg. So there is a strong benefit from using everything together, generating that power, getting that CNS to fire strongly. You're going to build more muscle, more strength doing it both hands and both legs at the same time. But you will create imbalances if you don't incorporate some of those.
And I'm glad you said that, because let's be honest, a majority of the clients and the people that we deal with have major imbalances. And this was something that I had to deal with recently, where we were heavy deadlifting a lot, and I was doing a lot of singles and doubles and triples, lifting a lot of weight. And it just, when you do really, really heavy weight and you have an imbalance, it really makes it obvious. And I started having all kinds of issues with my shoulder and my elbow on my right side, and that's because I wasn't getting that full retraction on my right side. And it was just the slightest bit off. Like, the average person would look at me, would never be able to tell that there is any sort of an imbalance there. Even myself, it wasn't apparent until I started really heavy deadlifting, and then all of a sudden it revealed itself. So then I had to regress from the heavy barbell lifts, and now I started doing a bunch of unilateral movements where I was like doing the dumbbell rows, like the other YouTube video that you did, where all I'm focusing on is really getting that shoulder retraction on one side. That way, if I was in a barbell and I go to do my deadlift, if I've got a slight imbalance and it's just slightly off and I'm lifting this heavy weight, my body's compensating a tiny bit. Well, then all of a sudden I got all these issues going on where I strip that down. Now I can just go into a single dumbbell row, and I can really concentrate on taking the muscle through full range of motion, getting fully connected to that side and getting it to fire and activate the way I want to. And then I can get back to progressing into bilateral movements.
So the answer, what is better? Bilateral, unilateral? Both.
Both.
Equal.
That's right. They both should be in your programming.